Okay. Very cool. All right, let's go into this. Alrighty. Okay, so I'm gonna just go with the lasso tool because we're actually first got to do the line work. So I'm gonna make my line work fixes for the rest of the piece. See, turn tool. Focus in on this line work. Draw here. See the legs. Okay, it's not too many fixes for him. Sumo. That's fine. Some of this line work just needs to be. I just need to go over it a little more, I think, and then I want to make this bend a little bit. It's smaller. It's too big. Yeah, I need to move it a little bit to the side. What are those? Oh, no, 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 no. Fix that a little bit. I'm gonna have to go back and like, do some line work there, polish, fix it up. Cool. Stand by. Thank you. Welcome, guys. So when did you bought the digital tablet? Oh, I got it a long time ago, Jamie. A long time ago. A real long time ago. It took forever though to get it. I had to save, 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 save. Whew. Let's see. Stand by. Okay, stand by. I don't mind this bandana, but I kind of want to play with it a little more. I want to change it up. I feel like since this is the official like look for them, the main cast cover. Um, I don't know. I feel like it could be cooler, so I want to play with that one. We don't mess with this. Okay, now let's see here. Looks cool. His eyes aren't that slanted. They're more like this. Okay. Okay, kind of sick. Okay, and then we're gonna fix this up a little bit. Make his shoulders bigger a little bit. So, no, that's okay. Yeah, this is higher than this. This one's okay though. That's okay. Yeah, I could go over with line later. That's okay. We'll just leave it like that. Okay. This doesn't make sense. It's supposed to be like this. It's supposed to go in actually. Same thing with this. We gotta show his ears just a little bit. We're gonna put him in there somehow. Okay, Lucy, Lucy, Lucy. She's missing an ear. I think I already erased that. So let's What's going on there? Okay. Let's see if I got any comments. You can tell you put your life into your art. Thank you, Jamie. So, yeah, because this story it's got a lot of truth in it, and when you read it soon, hopefully very soon, um, you'll understand that it's something that I believe is very important to reach as many people as possible because there's there's it'll make people question and think and not just kind of go with the herd. It'll force them to pursue their calling, right? In the story, everybody has a soul, and every soul has a calling. So there's three paths: a path of destruction, a path of creation, and a path of preservation or preserving. And these three paths that a soul goes on that another soul that you go on, and you trying to answer your calling, you actually manifest a unique power in the story. And there's this whole dystopian government that has to keep humanity, unaware, ignorant of the reality of fairy tales existing and the magical aspect of reality being something as familiar as their next door neighbor. But in this case, they force the fairy tales that want to just live in peace and with their families, they force them to pretend to be human, and they have to disguise themselves, right? Technology, etc., etc. Um, and it just shows you there's layers, and that this story has many secrets, and it's all about the secret agent, secret government type thing that you begin to realize that no, this is actually telling us sort of what's been going on in the power system of the world, the way power is manipulation and all this stuff, and how demonizing groups is a way to, manipulate people to destroy a people, and it the whole time the good guys, the real good guys in the story, in this like sea of like double agents and secret societies and all these things, right? And fairy tale terrorists and mafias. Over it all, there's a looming threat because there's these giant doors in the sky that you're gonna get to see in the story that is locked and it's about to be open. And so as you go, this world has many secrets in the story. Um, and there's a reason for all of that secrecy and that control and that manipulation. And you can ask yourself whether why they're doing it for protecting us is a good reason. But, it's about security versus freedom, ultimately. And the freedom to answer your calling or sacrifice that and for the name of security. And so there's so much in it that you'll see what I mean, I guess, when you get into it. Hopefully, God willing, soon. Okay, so we got to keep going, guys. This feels super long and this feels super short. This doesn't make sense. It shouldn't be floating up there. Lucy, God bless America. All right. But there's no real countries in my story. It's all fictional world, fictional place. Has nothing to do with reality. No, no, no. Uh, okay, so we're gonna have to kind of rework a lot of this. A little bit. We didn't check his legs actually either, so okay, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I can work with that. We're just gonna, okay. No, I like that. Okay. All right. I think we can use that from the traditional artwork, and we're gonna raise it up. All right. Let's do Kogan. So we're gonna lower opacity for that layer. Let's get the pen tool out. We're just focusing in on just line work. Piece. It's so funny. Last stream, there was this guy from Kick who didn't believe I drew this. He's like, "Oh, you traced that," because he saw me like fixing up my art, and I was like, "Wow, bro, you think like it's so freaking hilarious that you think I'm tracing this." Catch up, homie. Catch up, bro. Tracing it, bro. That's how far I am from you in terms of the art. Like you don't even know, bro. Wake up, homie. Some people can't even get credit for your own art. So I'm just gonna go over the line art that's here, just to kind of lift some of it, because unfortunately, when I inked this a long, long time ago, I did it with a water-based ink, and that kind of tends to, when you scan it, it it's not as dark as you know the ink you get from the digital. So let me show you guys. So you see this over here? Look how dark. Look at the difference. It's almost blue. This is supposed to be black ink, right? See, you see how dark it is? So I'm touching that up and I'm fixing the mistakes at the same time. Control 0. Go back into it. All right, guys. I'm gonna lock in. Let's see what I could kind of use and not use. You know what? We could just go in later and use that as a color, actually. So we don't need to waste our time doing that. Just kind of close out some of these shapes. That still works. Very empty. My dead dreams. My dead dreams. I've been picking up thoughts of my brain. It still works. There empty. My dead dreams. My dead dreams. Picking up graves. Thoughts of my brain. Still works. Very empty. It's my dead dreams. My dead dreams. Actually, here's what we'll do. This looks correct. This doesn't. Try to measure it correctly. Yeah, that's good. That's good. It should be forward actually. Now I think about it, the corner should actually go like this, right? No, no, no. He has a little parted. Okay. No, I'm good. Okay. Freaking eraser's huge. What's up, guys? Welcome. Let's try to get this room a little more filled. What up, Guru? Gurola? Gurola 56. What's up, man? We don't need to do any fill work. It's just strictly line work at this phase. Hmm. Let me see. I'm gonna test out a different look for his eye. Circular. As comics advice on artists who fail but get better. Let me see. Sorry, dude. Let me check your comment, bro. We got. Okay, as comics advice on artists who fail but get better. Are you saying any comic advice? Okay, any comic advice on artists who fail but get better. Keep going. If you're failing and then getting better, that means that there's that you're learning what you can handle at that time. And as you keep going, you'll learn that the things that you couldn't handle before, you can do it better. And the closer and closer you close that gap between what you consider your art as, oh, I messed up here, and is the closer you can close the gap between you and the finished result that you desire to make, and the willingness to believe you can do it, all those factors play into how you go about it. With the computer, especially, you can easily, like you're seeing, you can easily fix this stuff. And so, look at the traditional process if you're a traditional artist as a way to kind of put your personality on the page, and the digital process as an aid to kind of clean it up and tighten it up to be at the level you desire. Because there's a lot of room for error in the traditional part of it. And that's good because a lot of genius comes out from the mistakes. Like what you consider a mistake actually is like a beginning of something. Whoa, this is a trail to a cooler design, a cooler way. And just kind of being receptive to that is key in the traditional process. But after that, lock in when you put it in the computer or your iPad or whatever you use. Just go and be willing to put in the time to bring it to the level you desire it to be. Yeah, that's true. I still struggle with anatomy, but design and panels are fine. Yeah, anatomy is difficult. I struggle with anatomy too, but you don't need to have perfect anatomy. You don't need to memorize all the terms or anything at all. You just need to understand how it breaks down as a shape. And you don't even need the full knowledge of that. You just need enough to be able to make characters that look anatomically accurate. They could not be. It's okay, So, and these things they'll stick out as you refine your art, And if you need a way to break down shapes and you want like a shortcut, I highly recommend you read Michael Hampton figure drawing book. Michael Hampton's figure drawing book, he breaks everything down to basic shapes, and you can use that. The danger with doing that is when you start drawing with shapes and you focus heavy on shapes rather than lines, your work ends up being very blocky, and yeah, it's dimensional, but there's an overly constructed feel to it. And a lot of the art that we really love, at least from what I love, is art that has just pure energy in it. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be exactly anatomically correct or whatever. But just art that has a flair, an originality, that comes from the mistakes, the unpredictability of that, and being receptive to bending those to your advantage. Um, as long as you're dedicated to the craft and making sure you keep drawing and you figure out your process to bring the art to your desired level, just keep going. You're going to get so good, so freaking good, that people can't even believe it. They'll think you're tracing. So, just keep going. And here's the thing with storytelling as comic creators. I mean, we don't really get into this. They don't really talk about this aspect, but what we're doing is it's very wild, wild west. It's very like lone samurai type activity here, where you're producing your original comic with original world, an original story. It's fully from you, right? And you're pouring this world out onto the page, and you're unfolding this story. Um, there's a lot of power in that, and a lot of power means actual effect. You actually have an effect in the world in terms of, even if it's small or big, it's going to be an effect that will either lead people towards better or worse paths. And so being aware of that and seeing how so much people they look into when they watch a story, when they hear mythology, if you think about like, the ancient people, how they were, that's what they had was their mythology. They derived from those stories how to be in the world, or at least a way to be, and a way to think, and to sort of embody different kinds of energies, right? You got like warriors and the spirit of a warrior. What makes a healthy warrior for a society? What's a dangerous warrior? What's a dangerous king to a society? What's a good king? And it's all these things that they're exposed to directly with their mythologies that now today doing comics, we're essentially making the modern hieroglyphics. You know what I'm saying? Like these stories, there's something more we're tapping into, especially when you really dedicate yourself to it. The medium kind of evolves with you in a way where it becomes hyper focused and hyper original, and it becomes inescapable that this is something deeper. It's not just entertainment, right? And so one thing that I like to think about it, and to kind of helps me realize like this isn't just like art for whatever. Like I'm actually trying to tell people uh, something with meaning, and share something with actual meaning and substance, and has truth value to it, and to make people think. And so like that's a big deal, for it doesn't have to even be wide, but just by going down that path, you inspire others by doing that, and you bring more of that truth, that more of that light into the world. Because it's really there's a lot of evil out here, and the battle against that isn't limited to just the battlefield. It's actually the real war is the war waged by the pen, right? The stories that we tell the next generation, and this is really something that's people just they can't think about it like that, but it's okay. Everybody has their path. But the people, unfortunately, the bad guys, you could say, they're the ones that realize this before the people with the good ideas, and they take advantage of it. That's why you see everywhere in Hollywood, it's crazy, it's craziness out here, and things are starting to get exposed. All right, alrighty. I like him with eyes like that, actually, but it's better. So, True, keep preaching, man. I can listen to all that. Thank you. Yeah, Modern Art isn't dead. It's new. There's power to it. Look, Jujutsu Kaisen are invincible. Right. Big impact. Yeah, Sakura Toriyama, Kishimoto Oda, Tagashi. Yes, sir. Ash Comics. I don't know, but your aura makes your work stand out. Appreciate you, brother. I'm learning here more than school. Hey, man. Schools, you never leave school, ultimately. Looks immaculate. Thank you, Grave Lord. Dope name, Grave Lord. You're smart. Thing is, manga is that you can get away with anatomy, but still have to be careful. Yeah, yeah. Manga. The beauty of manga, it's actually the universal version of comics. And if you analyze comics in the West and how we developed, you'll find that we kind of got pigeonholed in a sort of realistic superhero like focus, because comics is for kids, right? That's what we were thinking. But as we see in the East, how they went from like a cartoony style and a realistic style, there was a blend in between that they started tapping into, which just like allowed so many different genres, so much originality to come out from that. Like compare Chin Chan or One Piece, I guess it's more famous, to uh, I don't know, Death Note. Like you could see the total crazy difference in style. While in the West, we had predominantly realistic, you know, looking superhero focus, or pure like cartoony Mickey Mouse sitcom kind of style, right? But the East, they're like exploring more in so many different directions, and they're the ones that got to the universal version of comics. I really believe that manga very much is the universal way. It can be bent and changed and altered in so many different ways. It's just like, oh, it's called manga. Oh, well, it just means comics in our language. That's all. And they do have in terms of like reading though, when you read it, theirs is more focused on feeling, and like it's much more faster, lesser panels and all that stuff. So there is like nuance that they have brought to their style, but and it is black and white. But the terms of the design, I'm saying that they kind of accessed that universal pool, that shape language of like what all these different styles can be in between that cartooniness and that realism. It's that in between that they've accessed before us, and now we're doing that too. Um, but they really developed their industry and all that, you know comics to anime, or manga to anime. I mean, like that whole system they established. That's why they're all around the world, because a lot of us get into their content is through anime, and for us, it's mostly just focused on the popular ancient superheroes that we still like recreate, which is okay. But there needs to be more of a space for originality that isn't just sitcom looking like regular show. No hate on regular show; it's pretty funny. I think Muscle Man is hilarious. Your mom. Um, but something like Avatar: The Last Airbender. We need more of that in the West, and manga, Viz originals, like all this stuff. I really think that we're gonna have like a golden era. Like so many manga influenced comics that are just gonna come bursting out from America in English, and then all over, flooding America. I think that it's gonna be huge, a huge wave. I make manga, but with Marvel, DC elements, storytelling about overcoming. Very dope. People know who you are. You know me, bro. Thank you. True and man. Uh, you can make your art style influential if you've mastered. Yes, sir. Oh, hello, teacher. How you doing? Hey, you got to check out um, uh, Sasaki Sensei's work. Jamie, click on his work. He teaches. He breaks down how to do manga with so many different styles traditionally. He's amazing. He's amazing. He's in the comment section. Good evening, teacher. How you doing? Konbanwa, right? Konbanwa, konbanwa, konbanwa. I think so. Ooh, it's hot in here. I need the fan. Ooh, I'm sweating. All right. Yeah, he's the Japanese man, the guy that's just scroll up. Sasaki. His name is ATOC Sasaki. Yeah, check out his work, dude. He's got so many tutorials. Shows it, bro. And he's been doing it for so long. Thanks. So you think people can really connect with the art you do? Want to hear more about it, Ash? Yeah, I believe so. The story, Demonation, it's called Demonation because we can either be a nation of demons or a nation of people. And essentially what that means is that there's two kinds of groups that want to manipulate the society, for everybody, right? There's the group that wants to guide them towards a better timeline where, there's unity, and then there's a group that wants to fearmonger and to keep things that are hidden and out of this world something to be terrified of, right? And so this story is sort of like Men in Black, but without the aliens. You have fairy tales pretending to be human, living amongst us, all this stuff, right? And there's this secret government called the Cloud that's up in the sky that makes sure humanity stays asleep. That's the term. So that's the kind of story world setup. And it takes place in this tiny little world right here. I'll pull it up for you. Thank you. So I can't show you this whole thing, but I'll show you this little thing. This is called the New World, and I'm gonna clean it up too. But this is just pure traditional art. What you're looking at right now. So the New World has this giant wall in between it, right? It's a floating crystal ball-looking thing with like water and sky and sun and a moon. But it has this giant wall in between. One side is the human territory, the other side is the fairy tale territory. And the human territory of this castle with these dragon bone wings floating in the sky. It has a city. It's over here. It's called Unity City. They're the ones that's where the cloud headquarters is. That's where the secret government is, right? And basically, their whole thing is making sure these guys don't wake up to the reality of these guys over here, the fairy tales. And unfortunately, a part of that means that in the fairy tale side of things, they got to make sure that they don't unite. So the cloud oftentimes will manipulate wars and do all sorts of things that are evil and corrupt, but for the sake of balance in the new world between man and myth. And so they would screw things up for them in the fairy tale territory. And that has led to a group of fairy tale terrorists to rise. So they follow this teaching of this ancient master sage who was sort of like Buddha with Prophet Muhammad. He's a mixture of their ideas and teachings based off of what we have access to. God knows if that's actually the real things they said. We have to always be aware that history is written by the victors. And this is something that's highlighted, especially in the story. A lot of the times, things have gotten so bad that the cloud has to drop an A bomb. An A bomb in the story means an amnesia bomb, and literally reset. They can't do that anymore because they did it too many times. Now, humans, they're unable to be affected by that. They're going to remember. And this fairy tale terrorist group, they're getting closer to the human side. And so the cloud has to deal with those guys. And on top of that, you got fairy tale mafias. You got 4 of them. And the cloud has to make deals with them. You got the demon mafia, the goblin mafia, the human mafia that is of awake humans, and you have the vampire mafia. I know it's a lot of info, but they're dealing with these different struggles, and at the same time, on top of all that, you got another group of humans that aren't asleep, that are actually awake, and you would think they're the good guys, but you find out they're human supremacists. So they hate fairy tales because they follow a racist doctrine that talks about, it's called the path to Siegfried. And Siegfried was this ancient human emperor character who existed 5,000 years before the New World was created. And Siegfried, he started to have visions of the future as what he perceived it as. And it terrified him because he saw that humans and fairy tales were going to mix to the point where there was only hybrids. And hybrids is only something that a human can actually create with having a spouse of a fairy tale. So a fairy tale and a human together, you can have a baby hybrid. But a fairy tale and a fairy tale, they can't have babies. They can't cross breed. I guess you'd say. It sounds weird when you say it like that. Essentially, it's only something humans have. It's an instinct, a special instinct they have. And he called this instinct inheritance. And he built this philosophy around that concept. Once he learned more about like the ancient history of the story, which we're not going to get into, but he started to realize that humans, according to his belief, are actually supposed to inherit the world. That's why I call it inheritance. And they're the perfect species, perfect original beings. And in fairy tale, they're just something else. They're not like us. They're beneath us. He started getting darker and darker in that direction, even though that's not where he started. But that doctrine, it's been kind of reused, resurfaced in the New World, right? And this group that follows this path to Siegfried, these humans that are not affected by whatever is causing humanity to stay asleep in the story, they unfortunately firmly believe in this, and they believe in this concept, and they are another aspect of this world where they're manipulating events, and you begin to realize that the cloud is just a power hub for all these different groups, and there's so many freaking double agents, and it's so corrupt, and there's good people doing it somewhere deep in there. And the father of the cloud, supposedly, Runji, this guy, the head, the top guy, he has lived a long life, and he realized this. He realized there's no point in trying to clean up, right? Because the enemy, the real enemy to this whole story, to all these things, you thought the Siegfried were the enemies, you thought the fairy tale terrorists, all these other groups were the enemies. You learned the real bad guy is a bad guy that you can't even see unless they're interested in your soul. And this is where we get into the concept of soul merchants. And Runji, who's actually compared to these ancient soul merchants, these beings that are probably billions of years old, right? I don't even know. They're really ancient. There's a group of 13 of them. And what this group did, okay, from their leader isn't around for some reason, right? But he's still manipulating events from afar. But this group, which is now 12, they're called the Mal Branch. And what they do is they make deals that people can't resist in return for their soul. And they manipulate and whisper all sorts of manipulations, right, for the different groups, these different fairy tale terrorists, the Siegfried, the fairy tale mafias, even the cloud, people in the cloud, right? They're manipulating. And Runji knows that those guys are the real enemy. And he's a part of the secret order that isn't a part of the cloud, right? That what this cloud power hub thing, what it's become, Runji, he is a part of a ancient order that they don't even know their true name. That's what I say in the prologue over here. Damn, bro, it's story time now. I'm gonna have to go back to the drawing after this, though. So, long ago, mankind lived amongst creatures you would only find in folklores, myths, and legends. But that was far too long ago. In the aftermath of an unfathomable calamity, humanity lost its soul and fell into a deep sleep, closing the doors of perception on them for ages to come. As time leapt onwards and technology evolved, a new world was born from the ashes of the old, where people began dismissing the mystical creatures from their ancient past as mere fairy tales, creating a new fragile balance between man and myth, until something with enough destructive force slips through the cracks and threatens that fragile balance. However, high above the clouds and just below the heavens exists a top secret organization, so secretive that no one even knows their true name, whose sole purpose is the preservation of the new world. Our story begins here. So this is coded language that if you were to go on the story and you follow the story, you will learn there's a lot of things I put in there. But that line specifically, high above the clouds and just below the heavens, exists a top secret organization who's so secretive that no one even knows their true name. They have a name. It's not the cloud. You assume it's the cloud, right? But at the end of the first arc, you learn that there's a selection process that's been started, that there's a countdown towards, I don't know if you remember, those doors in the sky opening. Remember, I don't know, I told you way earlier in the stream about those doors that have been locked up. And this group has started this selection process. That's all I can tell you. And, the real enemy is you can't even see. And that's the biggest part of the issue, unless they're interested in your soul. So, yes, sir, that is the concept. And it gets crazier when we get in actually talking about the main character and how he's low-key the remedy to this kind of world full of layers of secrets and double agents and all that crazy shit. Um, but we're gonna save his story for another stream. We gotta actually get this line work. I should be done already. What am I doing? It's been an hour. I recommend you uploading your work on manga decks. It spreads into Google and to sites. There you go. Yeah, manga decks. My goal is to get published, so I'm trying to take it to Viz. Originals and Shonen Jump. I want to translate it. But I'm thinking of going to Viz because, I'm English, and no matter how much I study Japanese, I'm not going to learn. I'm not gonna be able to express my truth fully in another language. It's not my native language. So, and then also English is the language of business. It's the language that's most global. So I feel like the movement is actually going to be towards America, this development of original manga and seeing it as just comics. I think that's where the future is, and that it's going to be, like I said, a floodgate of powerful stories that are from all over the world because of the fact that it's in English. That makes a big deal. And, anime deals, all that stuff happening for everybody. That's, but a big part of it is we need to get in, and once we're in, we need to establish some kind of apprenticeship system and a connection between the comic world and the cartoon world to make these things doable, or just connect with whatever Shonen Jump has, right? And so Viz is their, I think they're a company related to Shonen Jump. They have connections. So anything's possible, brother. The future's so bright. It's blinding. Around here. This is kind of. That ear, so we gotta look at the ear. The ear should be the eye and the nose. Nose is down here, eyes are here, so he should have big ass ears, so he's got tiny ass ears. So, and I'm looking at his face actually. Okay. Cool. What up the pillow. World Sir, how many nations are there in the story world? There's in the new world there's a limited amount. that I've written about. There's I could tell you there's Brahmadan, which is like a fairy country mixed with like Indian and Irish mythology. English, not necessarily just Irish, like English, Celtic, and Indian mythology. It's a kingdom of fairies. And then there's a kingdom of, it's called Brahmadan, and then there's also another country that's from that same people, the fairy people. They're called called Shivadan and Brahmadan. Those are two right there, and they have beef. They have war against each other because they don't agree about what beauty should be. One is internal, the other one's external. Then there's the genie kingdom. There's a kingdom of genies in the story. It's called Zep Tepi, and they're having issues with the guru. They're called guru jin tribes. Guru jins, like a guru, like a teacher, guru. Jin tribes, and they have beef with each other and the fairy tale terrorist stuff. And they're based in the Genie Kingdom is based off of like Persian, Middle Eastern mythologies, beliefs, and ancient Egyptian. And then there's this country called Abaddon, which has kind of been overtaken pretty much by all these different selfish interests. And there's this like black market called the Druid Market there, where all the like underground deals kind of go on. They sell illegal stuff. So yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot, and then there's another one that has to do with dragons, but I can't tell you too much about that one. The current name for it is the Leviathan, which is like it's like a Vatican Nazi dragon kind of thing. I'm still working on that one, to be honest. You have gins in your story, cool. Yeah, they become more familiar to people. Like before, people didn't even know what that was. But it's like that's what a genie is in Arabic. It's just jinn. Let's lower this even more. Make sure that stands out. A little bit here. Just do the simple. Yeah, I should look at it. Okay, it's his mouth. I need to move that too. gonna have to kind of shrink this. Smaller, and his eyes need to be a little further out. That's fine. That's fine. Okay, let's just walk in over here. Just hatching out of the way real quick. Did it freeze on restream? Wow, it's 1 a.m. Huh? Shit, time flies. There you go. Why is it? Oh, by the way, watermark your work on every piece you have. It's important in my opinion for sure. Good job, you feel. People say to me that it's haram to tell stories about monsters and jinns. I also have jinns in the story. Oh, really? Oh. Um, so you gotta understand that most Muslims are not really aware of what's haram and halal. They're just, in fact, a lot of them are doing haram and halal and they don't even know. So here's the thing: when it comes to people telling you something's forbidden or something's not, you need to go and research that for yourself. You need to go read your belief, your religion. If you're Muslim, you read the Quran. You look into the Quran and you see what are the specifics there that say what you can't do, that drawing is haram. And here's something, because I'm Muslim, and actually became Muslim because of this story. When I finished this story, it led me to the truth of, you know, the source of creation. And that's talked about in Surah Ikhlas. قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ اللَّهُ الصَّمَدُ لَمْ يَلِدْ وَلَمْ يُولَدْ وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ. What does that mean? It means that God is one. He is uniquely one. And that there's nothing comparable. That he's not in flesh like us, that his birth or is born. He's beyond us. And that he is, we say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim for every surah. He's the most merciful. This is mercies is highlighted. And so the way these Muslims, how they look at the world is they don't see mercy, but they say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim every time they pray. But when they're praying, what are they praying really? It's just a ritual repeating. They're not thinking about, well, what am I doing? They're just following. And so anybody from this group that tells you it's haram, just ask them, can you show me where in the Quran it says haram? The argument they put forth has to do with some things that are not in the Quran, totally different things. And they'll force you to believe that. But just know that, God tells us everything we need to know in the Quran. If you're a Muslim, if you believe this. Everybody else, you're on your own journey, but I'm talking to Jamie here. And drawing, mentioning jinns, like genies or whatever, doing these things, there's nothing in the Quran that says it's forbidden. In fact, God says that He will give us signs from the outside us, all around us, and inside us, until we know that this is the truth, that He is telling us that, hey, this is the truth, and that He's the creator, right? And so that's what it means. So one of the signs that is inside you is what? It's your imagination. Duh. So the devil played a trick on the Muslim population right now. He's taken them out of the real war. The real war has to do with your imagination, what you can create from your imagination, especially when it comes to art, especially when it comes to drawing and storytelling, right? The jinn, mentioning them in your story, having jinn, for them, they've made jinn sacred. That's not the case at all. And you're not doing some kind of ritual. You're just like, you're creating art and you have a story to tell, and you like these different aspects of the world, right? Because a lot of these guys, you got to remember too, is that they're very Arabized. They're not like Islam is not owned by Arabs. Like, don't get that twisted. But when you look around, that's what you think. But Islam is actually like something before Arabs even were a thing. Like, if you look at what it actually means. So, and that's straight from the Quran. It talks about like ancient prophets that were Muslim according to the Quran. And so if you believe that's the authority of truth for you, and that is the truth for me. Um, you have to understand that what they're following is very much a culture, manipulated culture, like politics and all this bullcrap, and that the truth is much more simpler, and that God is actually the most merciful. He really means what he says. He is actually the most merciful. So you do based off of your knowledge and what you understand, not off of what other people are trying to bully you. Because that's what it is. Bully you into giving up. And the real war really is waged by the pen, by the storyteller. A lot of the truth comes in. If you read the Quran, there's so many stories in there, and they're real stories, but they're stories. And there's a reason God chose that. And so we, as people who have capacity to produce work, not if it's not storytelling, to build innovations, to make innovations or whatever, storytelling is also a part of that. It doesn't mean that it's exclusive. We're not allowed to tell stories or draw them, right? So that's something you need to kind of reflect on for yourself. But from me having to deal with a similar crowd like that, you realize like the truth isn't something that's based in a culture at all. It transcends culture. And really recognize like these guys are, for the most part, they're following a culture and they're being manipulated. And it's really sad when you really do your research. You find out how deep the manipulation goes. The devil really hijacks the religions of the world, and the only real truth really is in the Quran. Yeah, we have stories to tell, and they say you're doing evil stuff. Yeah, and that's a part of the brainwashing, man. That's what we're fighting out here. Just remember that on Judgment Day, they're not going to be standing next to you. It's just you and God the whole way through. And everybody else, they're going to be held accountable for what their soul has done, not what you've done. And believe in your God's mercy. Believe that He's merciful, man. He really is. He wouldn't have given us free will, or even the devil free will, if He wasn't. He lets these people that are manipulating, that work for the devil, He lets them do their free will. Go all the way at Mr. Epstein. Go all the way. So He lets them do that, and it's because the end, ultimately, in the end, everything is going to be held accountable for. And He encompasses them in His all-knowing, in His plan. He knows that this is the breach His free will, that all these different types of souls will do, and they'll reveal their true colors in doing so, for themselves to be held accountable. You understand? Because God already knows who you are. He knows you more than you. you know? So it's a part of this greater plan that God has, and He's the best of planners. So He lets them do their thing. It's all because they're going to get forgetful, and they mistake. They make the mistake of thinking that they're not going to be held accountable for the actions they do. Dude, they aren't relevant. We could leave the scar alone. Or not. Like Naruto has a demon, I think it's cool, but I don't worship demons in real life. It's weird. Right. Yeah, so Naruto, like, here's the thing with the demon stuff. So, my story, it's called Demonation, and I explained it's, about, hey, you could be a nation of people, or you could be a nation of demons. That's what it's dealing with. That's the core theme of it, and that's why the name fits because it's about hey these groups we gotta demonize them, we gotta hate them to make it easy to eradicate them, or we can be civil, like actually unify and have harmony. With demons, you have to understand there are jinn who become Muslim, right? And there are jinn who are Christian. There are jinn who are different religions of their own. You know, so like actually understanding, oh, jinn, that's a real thing, right? That's a race. Whether you want to use the Arabic word or you want to label them a different culture, yokai, right? In Japanese, they call yokai, um, or in Celtic mythology, they call them fairies, right? They're all jinn ultimately. It's the other, and they don't have bodies like us. They're like our opposite. You know what I'm saying? So you are are open. The world is not just like humans. You know what I'm saying? There's so much that's been hidden from us, and that's always around us. It's always around us. That to not like a part of this work is to address those things and to make sense of it instead of just like covering and coveting because there's fear. This is if you're not like worshiping jinn or doing these things, if you're just like putting them in your story and that there's a character who's a jinn character and there's this thing da da da, what you're actually doing is spreading awareness of their existence and you're showing a different side of the world in a way, based off of your ideas. And it doesn't, you're not summoning anything, So if they keep trying to tell you like, oh, that's forbidden, do this, you're, it's, if you have clear intention of what you're doing, uh, then there isn't a problem, really, to do that. And once again, dude, you gotta always remember, like, you're not gonna take anybody with you on Judgment Day. It's just you, and God, and that's how it is always. So right now, That's the only person you need to be afraid of. Not the only person. God is the only one that you need to be afraid of. And not worry about what these people are trying to tell you. Much of the Muslim world has, like I told you, they were taken out of the fight because of these different beliefs they have in the popular following, the popular branch of Islam. Um, but it's not based in anything like, factual. It's just based in like people, culture, and beliefs that aren't even justified in the Quran. You have permission to talk about the world you live in, the world that God created, right? That's your God-given right to explore and express yourself freely. This is something that God talks about in Surah Al-Ikhlas. He declares that there's no, you know, lakum dinukum waliya din. You know, you have your way, I have mine. That doesn't just mean I'm Muslim and you're Christian. That means in everything. If you come to this kind of disagreement and you say you have your way, I have mine. And this is you, so you don't get away from the truth. You know, as long as you focus on expressing truth, that's good. If you're trying to problems and spread evil and mischief with your ability that God gave you, with your gift. And that's what's actually bad. That's what God doesn't favor. Don't let them put the truth in the cupboard, you know, and lock it up. And say only they can explain it to you. I'm going back and forth with this. Let's keep going. Okay, let's keep this up. I'm just gonna forget. Yeah. And the Lord said, I'm freaking preaching. Calm down. Yeah, actually, I don't need to put in all these little hatches for this. Good, good. Yeah, you're gonna get that color actually. Let's just focus in. Oh, okay, so his hand's kind of a little weird because he's right next to this guy's hand, Mitsuo's hand. What up, guys? This. So actually, this needs to be. This needs to be that way. Alright, guys, what's on? What drawing display tablet are you using? Cintiq Wacom 22-inch. For the rose, appreciate you. Yeah, very useful. I have four fingers here and then one. Just noticed that right now. Yeah, that makes sense. I think I had that in the original drawing. I gave him six fingers. Looks off to me. Looks off to me. Mm, knuckle. Gotta put this down more. Thank you for the follow, Magnolia. Pretty good. Appreciate you. Thank you for the rose, Vegeta. Welcome, thank you, Dookie. Dookie. Hi. They just call me Dookie. But yeah, this one. Okay. Yeah, Dookie Smithus, Maximus Dookius. Junior. Dookie Junior. Okay, that looks a little closer, less weird. I'll take it. That thumb's huge. That's not bad though. That's bad. Fair, Fairy say. Zine. I don't understand. What drawing app do you use? Clip Studio. Favorite anime? One Piece or Hunter x Hunter? I'm not sure. Thank you guys. Appreciate y'all. In and out. Uh, 2 hours and 13 minutes so far of line work. We've been cleaning up. Cleaning up. So based off of the agent's rank, it kind of indicates how strong they are. Not necessarily, because some people get higher positions, get bumped a class, not a rank, I mean class. They get bumped up for other reasons. But uh, he is a silver class agent. So that's under gold. Gold class agent, that's not the highest, but that's like chief level and up. Right? If you're gold class, you're able to become a chief. That's the minimum. And then there's platinum and then diamond. And that's like a whole other caliber of power. I mean, not the definitive. Like I said, if you're gold class, if you're a gold class agent, that doesn't necessarily mean you are as strong as a chief. And sometimes your class, like if Kogan is silver class, but to be honest, he's probably more like gold class. If we're just talking about gold, his from a power perspective. But gold class, the power level should be around like continental level buster kind of character. A character could destroy a continent or continents, but not a whole planet. With metals, you want to give like the illusion of a metallic surface, especially if it's a rare metal like silver or gold. You want to try to have a high contrast, shiny look to it. So that means high contrast means really dark and really light clashing next to each other, with the middle tone not being so prevalent. So you have these like huge chunks of dark and this space, this distance of white or light here to give that effect. Okay, that's good. Okay. Power scales scaling. When did you start digital? Can he beat Goku though, Ash? Uh, Kogan? Kogan. It depends on the soul he makes a deal with. So Kogan has a possession-based calling, and in the story, um, you have disembodied spirits called dwellers that you can make a contract with to use them as to use their calling, but they don't have a body, so they want to essentially place to inhabit. And so a lot of times you'll find them in like antique weapons and ancient like artifacts or whatever. There'll be a dweller residing in that. Simple example of it, but Kogan, he can access this thing where if you were to make a contract with the dweller, for you to get their full power, it's something called a possession form. And it requires you to sacrifice your body and mind, like everything, and your soul, to these things to embody you temporarily so you get that power up. He can do that because of his calling without any consequence. He stays in control. And so he has 1,000 souls. He's called 1,000. His code name is 1,000 souls. He has 1,000 souls that he's made deals with, and he can access their possession forms. He's actually really OP. I don't know if he can beat Goku. I don't know because I don't know all 1,000 fucking forms that he can access. But the idea is he has a calling, an ability that can reach so much. So it's potential if he has, if he can access certain dwellers that are that strong, then yeah, possibly. But for now, base form, no. Like if it was just base form him, base form Goku, sorry Kogan. Kogan, you're dead. The main character, on the other hand, maybe. Maybe, but I don't want to reveal too much about him. Can Goku survive a black hole? Oh. The rest of it we can actually just do color. So I think we're pretty much done with the line drawing. Let's just fix up the shoes. Structure. Oh, oh no, my Instagram, my phone died. Right. I'll just charge it after. I'm gonna have to take a little break because we've been going on about 2.5 hours. I gotta stretch, a little quick refresher, come back, and charge my phone because that guy. So far, I'm having fun. I don't know about you guys. Um, Killing it. Yes, sir. Let's actually expand this shoe width. Yeah. Mm. Now, this is oh. Okay. Alright, guys. I gotta end the stream. Um, work to do. These three characters are gonna do their line on it. Fix them up. And then we're gonna go on with the colors. Knock that out. The colors is going by pretty quick. So it's good. Since most of it is black and gray. Into this next time. Get to T-bone before the